Rowan County and Salisbury and other municipalities are finally working together. Just recently, a good example is the issue of voluntary annexation to get.
Praise God.
And we just have 3 of our cities within Rowan County that have been approved to have voluntary annexation. So if that gives you all any hope, and we might need to do a seminar on it to help people, but it is possible. So.
Thank you for that. Commissioner Powell, you had your hand raised.
Yes. First, I'll say it's been really hard to be appointed during COVID the whole time and not be in person. And I think something that's really important for me to be known for 10 years from now is that, you know, like, we were a catalyst for change, and what kind of change did we make together? It's been frustrating from the citizen side to have worked so hard as a stakeholder on Connect Our Future and to see all of the priorities and wonder what kind of progress we made after all of that work. We need to be able to work together and show how we were a catalyst for change, because smart, balanced growth involves working together. And a lot of the priorities somehow, you know, water quality, air quality, access to parks and open space, these were the priorities set by all of the stakeholders, and somehow they get forgotten. You know, somebody will jump onto the priority of transit, which is very important, but so are all of the other priorities. So how do we work together to make a change in the priorities that the community established? And I think that's an important thing to be known for 10 years from now.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, well, we're going to move on to the next question, because I think that will stimulate a little bit more discussion. But I appreciate those insights so far. So the second question that we asked our team was, how are we different from other councils of government or other COGS regional councils across the state? So there are 16 of us. And then if you look a little bit broader in the Southeast, there's a whole other group of peers. And so what makes us different? What makes us special in how we do our work? And so the first theme that really came through in different ways in the comments, but I kind of summarized, is that, you know, we have a values-driven approach to our work. And I think this kind of hits on Commissioner Powell's comments, is that we really try to align our work to the needs of our people, of our region, of our communities, of our stakeholders. So this person-centric, community-centric approach to our work is really one of our values, that we strive to be innovative and adaptable, and that we really do reflect this commitment to the region. Another insight that we had from the staff was around creating new standards of excellence. So I think, and this is something we do now, and I'm very proud of our teams, you know, that it's not just about, you know, winning awards and recognition for the work that we do, but it's also, I love this idea of creating a new narrative about not just how government works, but also how regional councils work, and that it's not just about a set group of services, but we're really trying to look ahead and be forward-leaning and aspirational in how we do our work, and as a result, you know, be able to be that flagship organization. So those are some of the things that our staff set as aspirations for how we can be different than other councils of government. And I would love to hear any feedback or reactions or other expectations that the board has related to this question.
Geraldine, I guess the question, I feel like you probably go to a number of conferences with other councils of government, and so I have no doubt that you have some insight into how others are structured, what others' focus areas are. I don't know about how much of the rest of the staff is able to attend those kinds of things and have that sort of insight. I certainly as a board member don't feel like I have any real insight into how other COGs operate. So I don't know that I would feel equipped to handle this question. I'm sure each is different based on the regional issues and the towns and counties that they represent. But is there? I guess I'd look to you for more insight on this one, having probably more cross pollination with other COG leaders.
Yeah, I mean, I'll save my comments for the end. I don't want to I don't want to influence the discussion, but Martha Sue, you have your hand raised.
So, I'm old as Methuselah when it comes to being a part of this organization. And again, part of the history is that within our 9 counties, and you all correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I remember this. Within our 9 counties, we have 40% of the members of the House and members of the Senate that come from our 9 counties. So, and I may be wrong, but I say that to say that we are, there's a lot of miles in that 9 counties across that region. There are very poor communities and there are very rich communities, both in financial wealth as well as other areas of wealth. So we're a very diverse region, more so, I believe, than other ones. For instance, I was just last week down, and Geraldine may know this, down in Lumber River, which is about 7 counties, but it is Bladen and Columbus and Scotland and Robinson and Richmond down beyond Jarvis. And most of them are very rural counties, with the largest of them, and I'm not even sure Cumberland is part of that one. I can't remember. They ought to be. If they're not, they should be, just because of the geographics. But size-wise, I mean, think about it. We are so diverse, and I think that's one of the things that sets us aside from everyone else. And I will tell you, in my years of being not necessarily on the forum, as is William Morgan, the one thing that I have seen is that every other COG in North Carolina looks to us as the leaders in every aspect of our service delivery. So, we're not only are we the largest with the largest number or highest percentage of members of the House and Senate, north of the State House and Senate, but we are looked upon as the leaders in everything that goes on. So, but I think we'll continue that, particularly because the Charlotte region is one of the 2 fastest regions in the state of North Carolina.
Yeah. And I don't think different in this sense of this question is meant to say better, right? So it's not a us versus them type of frame. It's really about what do we want to focus in on to help us distinguish ourselves from other peers. And I think everyone from our peer group and other COGs across the state, everyone has different strengths and brings different perspectives to the table. So I really admire, for example, some of our other COGs that have a very strong administrative financial infrastructure, for example, that are able to provide financial services to the small rural communities in their region. To me, that's a really great example of how they've built up their capacity to serve. And other COGs have expertise and skill set elsewhere. But when it comes to the vision of our organization, these are the things that I think are really important to our team, that we're values driven and that we're always, searching for, how do we move the needle even further on innovation?
Geraldine, Kathy Davis, if I may make a comment,
Please.
We're talking about commitment to communities. One thing that I appreciate, and I think the rest of this board probably does, is the timely dissemination of information. And as it pertains to all kinds of things, like at the last meeting that I attended, somebody talked about grants becoming available for EV stations in our municipalities and so forth. And, that provoked thought that I had not even considered was, what is that going to look like in our community? So I think that you push us to be better by your timely dissemination of information, and that emulates that commitment to our communities.
Thank you. I think that's the best thing I've heard all day. Thank you for that. All right, let's go to the last question. So this is really about what's our lasting impact. So if we do the things that we say we're going to do in the way that we want to do them, what does that really look like for, again, our organization, not necessarily for the region? I mean, if we fulfill our mission, we will connect the region, we will build more transit, we will continue to serve our older adults in new and innovative ways. But what is our lasting impact from an organizational perspective? And some of the themes come back to, our role as a convener and a platform for engagement and collaboration. And I don't know if Leslie had to drop off the call for another engagement, but I really love this idea of us building a bridge between different levels of government and really tapping into those connections that Mayor Pro Tem Hall just referenced in terms of our colleagues and leaders in Raleigh and their service to their communities in the region in the State House. So that to me is a really interesting idea. And then another couple of comments from the staff is this idea of being future oriented. I love this phrase, proactive preparation and collaboration for the future. I think that the example around EVs is a great one. We are here to help you be ready for the future. We have the time. We're setting aside the time. That's our mission, is to help you prepare for that, because you all are doing the great work of serving your communities, and your staff are really focused on your communities. So how can we help you be ready and the region be ready for what's next? And then the last one is obviously our mission. So our lasting impact, if we are able to do these things, is to improve quality of life, and it can expand opportunity. And I think that's kind of capsulated in a number of staff comments related to the specific services and plans and activities of the organization. So again, opening up for a last round of feedback on this particular question. Mayor Pro Tem Morgan first raised his hand.
Give a man a fish or teach him to fish. We have a very good resource with our federal advocate and lobbyist, Leslie Mazingo, who does an incredible job in finding grant opportunities and disseminates that to the members of the COG. But I don't know that they are utilizing that, and they are responding to grant opportunities that they may be able to participate in. I don't know how we, as a COG, get them to do more or to take advantage of these. Federal money is not free money. We've paid for it already. But there are opportunities that need to be explored and that could be explored. So I don't know how we as a group push other municipalities to do that. But I think if there's a way to do that, and if somebody had the magic wand, I think that's an opportunity that I think is overlooked.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Commissioner Powell?
I love the staff insights on this. I especially love the first one. If you do what you say you're going to do, people are more trusting and they'll participate more. And I can't think of anything more important than participatory government in the United States. And so I just think these are excellent insights, especially number one.
Thank you.
Gerald, may I just make a comment regarding what Councilman Morgan stated, getting more people involved? I think the election cycle has something to do with that. We get some people elected that maybe do not know perhaps what they're getting into or the extent of it. And then when they're assigned perhaps to be a delegate here at Centralina, then that's opening up a whole new world for them. So you mentioned when you started your talk, under vision, you mentioned the word knowledge. I jotted that down with little quotations because it's exactly what everyone needs. as long as Martha Sue's been in this and others in this organization, we're always learning, we're always building our knowledge for not only who we represent at home, but also for Centralina Regional Council. And it takes a lot of knowledge. We're constantly learning. And so I try to keep that in mind and pass that on to others when we talk about what we do at our own home versus what we do here at Centralina. So it's a lot of great information and input here. And then I just want to calm down Commissioner Powell. I agree with you, this in-person thing, just wait till June. Commissioner Powell, I'll see you in person in June. So hang on to that thought. We got after this meeting, one more month, and then I'll be looking at you. Thank you.
Indeed. All right. Well, I thank you all for those really important insights and contributions to the discussion. I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the next steps. How we're viewing this. We talked about the foundation of our vision, mission, and values. That's really what we're really crystallizing now. The next step to this will be thinking about our goals. And then, as we've done in previous years, every year we develop a work plan that really lays out, this is what we're focused on, this is how we're moving this agenda forward. So kind of the specificity will increase as we get sort of deeper into the process. And then another component that we'll be building into the strategic plan this time around is thinking about how we're monitoring progress and evaluating the impact of the work that we do. I think to the point that Commissioner Powell made about doing what we say we're going to do, building that trust, and ultimately having that impact that we seek to have. In terms of the timeline for our activities, we're going to take the rest of this month to finalize with our team some vision statement options, talking about our goals. As I mentioned, the staff are doing the values assessment. We're going to do an update at the May Board of Delegates meeting so that group is aware of the process and have some opportunities for input. And at your June meeting, we'll come back with a strategic plan preview. So we'll kind of roll out vision and goals, and you'll have an opportunity to continue to weigh in that process. And then as a staff team, we'll be working on our fiscal year 23 implementation plan. Because this is an official strategic plan, the Board of Delegates will take up approval of this for the bylaws, and we hope to do that at the August meeting. So that's our timeline. It's going to be fast, but hopefully productive. And I really appreciate everyone's participation in the process. So that ends my presentation. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Geraldine. On item 7, we were to receive that as information. Anybody have any further comments or questions before we move on? That was a lot of good stuff. And I wanted to say, Geraldine, I'm going to call you out here just a second. What a great job you do working on strategic plans since you've been here in your position at Centralina, and you've been key on the strategic plan, the development, the implementation, and the input from the delegates. You are excellent at what you do in that regard, so really appreciate that. And then the schedule and the next steps you have on the screen and working through that. So it's a pleasure working with you, and it's enlightening to all of us. And again, I bring up that word knowledge because I think you do a great job, and what you bring to us is really helpful in moving this organization forward. Thank you so much. We'll now move on to agenda item 8, the ARPA Peer Consortium launch briefing. This is going to be from Kelly Weston and Nina Barrett. Our friend Nina Barrett will be on the line. I'd like to recognize Kelly to start the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So over the past year, we've been helping our member governments really navigate the American Rescue Plan Act, and this has included services like strategy sessions with individual communities, briefings with the regional managers group, and a library of resources that we've compiled on our member portal of our website. But this evening, we really just wanted to update you all on the expanded program offerings that are now available to our members. The state budget that was enacted last November included funding for the North Carolina Association of Regional Councils, the NC League of Municipalities, and the NC Association of County Commissioners to provide guidance as well as some technical assistance to local governments in administering their ARPA allocation. During the past few months, we've been developing 2 programs to expand our ARPA support to our members. And one is the ARPA Peer Consortium, and the other is a set of monitoring service that we'll be offering as well. And so Nina Barrett, who is part of our government affairs and member engagement team, will go over both of those in more detail, or we'll go over both of those in more detail in just a moment. Then later we'll have a bit of a homework assignment that we'll have for you all to kind of help us spread the word about these programs. So for now, I will turn it over to Nina.
Thank you, Kelly. All right, so I'm going to talk to you all about the ARPA Peer Consortium. Again, my name is Nina Barrett, and I've been with Centralina since last fall, and I am one of the Government Affairs and Member Engagement Coordinators here at Centralina. So the purpose of the ARPA Peer Consortium is to create a regional peer-to-peer shared learning experience amongst our member governments who are interested in receiving strategic support to administer their allocated ARPA funds. Last month, we had a fun time with our members. We kicked off our ARPA Peer Consortium, and we had an interactive meeting for our consortium team members. And the main purpose was to establish our peer group, build those connections, present the framework of our consortium, and equip our members with the resources that they need to complete the first report. The first report is a project and expenditure report that is due to the U.S. Treasury this month on April 30th. Next slide. So our consortium will convene this spring and summer on a bi-weekly basis on Thursday mornings. And as of now, we are meeting virtually with the hopes to transition to a hybrid model for our meetings with some in-person, face-to-face contact. But our members will participate in a series of interactive meetings that will have 2 components. The first is a unit introduction, and the second is a learning lab. The unit introduction will provide our members with background knowledge, content, and expertise on the given unit topic that will correspond with their given deliverable due at the end of their learning lab. Their learning lab is more so a working session for them to get together, learn from one another, exchange information, receive peer feedback, review, and support. So we have 6 scheduled units listed here on the right-hand side of the screen. And this consists of a mix of expert presentations, peer discussions, and a range of ARPA implementation topics. So outlined here, our first unit, what's the plan? Council Commission engagement, policies and procedures 101, strategies for citizen engagement, intro to program monitoring and reporting, which Kelly will touch on later, and strategies for public information sharing. We did create space for additional units that can be added as needed based on the discretion of our members and their needs. Next slide, Kelly. All right. So we are providing our members with a range of resources being in our peer consortium. So we have a shared learning experience that is the main component of this consortium that will provide them with that strategic support, the content they need, direction, some hands-on office hours support, and technical assistance for them to be able to build that capacity within their community. We'll also provide our members with templates and deliverables where we'll help identify and share best practices and resources that they are required to complete that will assist them with the allocation of their funds and choosing the right projects. Our information exchange with this resource, our members will be matched with another community, and they'll have an opportunity to share knowledge, ideas, advice, and insight. They'll be able to piggyback on one another, ask each other questions, and really hone in on the regional collaboration that's the main component of Centralina. The information exchange will also offer peer knowledge and networking opportunities for our members who participate in our consortium. Our peer review and feedback component encourages our members to engage with one another. So we'll put them in breakout rooms, be very interactive for our members, and we'll give them an opportunity to share what they are doing in their community. They'll be able to share, give each other valuable feedback, and give each other a review of different components of the ARPA allocation. Another great component and resource of our consortium is our live FAQs. So we are creating a live FAQ document that will be on our member portal, and it will consist of live frequently asked ARPA related questions. We'll have some diagrams and some charts, great visuals that will make understanding all of this ARPA information very easy to comprehend. And our members will also be able to see what other members are also asking across the region. Next slide, Kelly. So here's a list of our participating communities. As of now, we have about 10 communities that are participating in our ARPA Peer Consortium who are ready to hit the ground. They're very excited about being a part of our consortium. They are a great group of communities that are trying to work on providing the best projects to their communities. And as Kelly mentioned before, our consortium is underwritten by funding from the North Carolina Association of Regional Councils of Government, NC-PRO, which is the Pandemic Recovery Office. And we are also working with the UNC School of Government, League of Municipalities, and the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners to be able to provide these resources to our participating communities. I'll now turn it back over to you, Kelly.
All right, thank you, Nina. So in addition to the consortium, as we mentioned earlier, we are also offering monitoring services as well. And so these services will be sort of customized to fit the needs of each community and will just be built around the ARPA expenditure category that they are planning to pursue. And the service will be offered to our members that are participating in the consortium at no charge. And so some of the components of the services for monitoring will include guidance on federal grants, constructive feedback, templates and files, checklists as well, quarterly reviews and monthly reviews, annual on-site visits, and really just other monitoring and evaluation resources. So that is another part of this program that we are offering. We did want to talk about the report that Nina mentioned, and so that's due on April 30th to U.S. Treasury, and that is a project and expenditure report. And all local governments are required to submit this report by April 30th. And for a lot of our member governments, this will be the first report that they've had to submit for their ARPA allocation. And even if a local government hasn't decided how they want to spend their allocation, they're still required to submit this report, and as well as some other supporting documents too. And so we just want to really emphasize to our members that this is coming up, this is due, but also that we're available as a resource to help you all in navigating that and any assistance you might need in completing that. As I mentioned, there are supporting documents that go along with this report that will include a policy related to non-discrimination, the Civil Rights Title VII, as well as a budget document. And these are documents that would have been submitted to the state along with the funding request. Any communities that need are having some trouble locating those documents, we're able to assist with getting access to those. This report will also be where local governments will be able to, or will be asked to make a one-time decision about whether or not they want to elect a standard allowance for revenue loss of up to $10 million to spend on government services. That is a part of the final rule that U.S. Treasury released earlier this year. And so we just want to, again, make sure that people know that if they're planning to do that, they need to make that election in this report. So we have assembled some of the resources that Nina mentioned. We've assembled a project and expenditure report quick guide that includes some tips to help our members in preparing for and submitting that report that's due on April 30th. And we're making this resource and others available to all of our members, not just those that are participating in the consortium. So we actually have a two-part ask of you all following this meeting to really help us spread the word with our members about these resources that we have available and just the support that we can provide. And so first, after this meeting, you will be receiving an email that will include a few attachments. One of those attachments will be the ARPA support services update that's shown in your agenda packet. I believe it's on page 70. So you'll be getting that as an attachment in an email. we're asking that you, when you receive this email, that you forward it to staff in your local government who are working on ARPA, as well as other members of Centralina, so that we can make sure that everyone has access to this information. And we'll provide you with the contact list so that you can contact the other delegates in your county area to just make sure that they have that and forward that email on to them. The second ask is to let us know if your community needs any assistance with ARPA. Feel free to reach out to me or to your community's member liaison. Their contact information will be included in that email that you'll be receiving following this meeting, so that you'll be able to have that information should you need it. So there's really just quite a lot to navigate in terms of ARPA, and we really just want to make sure that all of our members have the support that they need to do that. So, Mr. Chairman, that is all that we have, but we're happy to answer any questions about these programs or the ask of the executive board.
Thank you, Kelly, and thank you, Nina. Any questions for Kelly or Nina regarding the ARPA presentation? Any questions at all or comments? I was just looking at the agenda on the time sensitivity, and what you're doing is ensuring that member governments are prepared to meet the deadline of April 30th. That's just right around the corner. So that's very important. And then, of course, we're to receive this as information. Now, everyone, please check your emails. When Kelly sends this out, receive the email and forward to the appropriate person. And again, as Kelly said, to any assistance, contact her or Nina for any assistance in this matter. It does have a deadline, so be aware of that. Any further comments or questions regarding the ARPA consortium? Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Nina. Thank you for joining us. Now move on to agenda item number 9. That was to be received as information. We'll move on to item 9. And we talked about grants. So the last few of the last previous agenda items had mentioned grants. So Centralina Grant Services Review, I'll call Kelly Weston back on and for her to go over that. Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we do provide grant support to our members by connecting them with resources to pursue funding opportunities. And our goal in that effort is really just to enhance our region's capacity to attract funding for both strategic priorities at the local level as well as at the broader regional level. And so this evening, we just wanted to share with you an overview of the grant services that we offer our members, and also give you an update on a new service offering that we have in the works. So as Mayor Pro Tem Morgan mentioned earlier, we have informational resources available to our members. A lot of those are informational sources that Leslie Mazingo helps us develop and distribute. One is the annual forecast of federal grant programs that local governments are eligible for. We always are encouraging our members to plan ahead when applying for grants. And so this list is really designed to help with identifying funding programs and preparing for those applications in advance. And then the second resource is the Grants Alert, which is a detailed list of available grants that's actually designed to be distributed monthly, but because of the increase in federal funding recently, Leslie and her team have been updating that weekly. But both of these resources are housed on the member portal of the Centralina website. And periodically, we will send out reminders to our members to visit the portal for this information. But again, with that increased frequency of the updates, we just really want to encourage you and your staff to check the portal really weekly for the latest information. So please visit the portal frequently and encourage your staff to visit it as well. And if you do need the member password for the member portal, it is password protected. Just feel free to let me know and I can provide you with that. One of the other support services that we offer is grants training. And so through a partnership with a consulting firm, we actually provide formal interactive workshops on grant writing led by a professional grant writer. And we usually host about 2 training sessions a year covering various grant writing topics. Our most recent one was actually held in March, and that one was really designed, again, to help people apply for and plan and apply for grants ahead of time and do that kind of preliminary work. That's really important when applying for competitive grants. Another service that we can offer is letters of support. So when our members are applying for a grant, we can actually provide a letter of support to accompany that grant application. And then we also provide technical assistance. So we can hold individual strategy sessions with members to identify potential funding sources that will help meet their needs, and also advise on an approach for pursuing a grant to provide process guidance for specific projects. We can also review and evaluate grant applications for competitiveness and provide constructive feedback. And we can also administer grants once they've been awarded. So those are some of our current service offerings that we have available related to grants. But one new offering that we've been working on in talking with our members about grants, something that we've heard them mention quite a bit is their need for someone to actually help them write grants or to write grants for them. And so we've been exploring options for providing assistance to meet that need. And so this new offering that we're excited to bring to our members is grant writing. And so we're leveraging our partnership with the consultant I mentioned earlier who leads our training workshops, D.H. Leonard, and contracting with their firm to write grants for member governments upon request. And so the menu of options for that will include application review. This would be an opportunity to have the grant application reviewed from a funder's perspective by a professional grant writer to help increase the application's competitiveness. And of course, they'll also be able to, if there's anyone who would actually prefer to have someone prepare the application for them, then D.H. Leonard's team would be able to write that narrative, complete all the required documents, complete the full application for both federal and/or state grant applications. So in terms of the arrangement, when a member contacts us in need of assistance with writing a grant, we'll facilitate a preliminary meeting between them and D.H. Leonard's team to answer any questions they might have about the process and really kind of hone in on the scope for that particular grant writing project. We'll then draft up a contract with that member government in Centralina and make that handoff. But we'll continue to provide that project oversight throughout the course of the grant writing project. But we have a really good working relationship with D.H. Leonard's team. And so we're looking forward to working with them in this way. And more than that, I think we're really just looking forward to being able to offer this new service to our members and help them increase their capacity to pursue grants. And so we'll officially roll out this service once we finalize the agreement between Centralina and D.H. Leonard, the grant writer. But we wanted to share this forecast with you this evening. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Kelly. Any questions regarding the grant services overview? That's a great service offer, especially as I look at the agenda, that second paragraph regarding a grant writer. I think a lot of people have not been successful with grants, or maybe are slightly afraid to go there due to the writing aspect of it. I think it is a technique, and it does mean a lot whatever grant you're applying for. If it's not done properly, then you may not have a good chance to get it. So going through the right proper process as you are offering, as you stated, will definitely help someone secure grants that need it. Great program. It's a great offering. Before we move on, anything regarding agenda item 9, the grants services overview? If not, thank you, Kelly. We'll move on to agenda item 10, the treasurer and secretary installation. Again, I'll call Kelly Weston to administer the oath of office for those two positions. Kelly.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. So if Commissioner Woodburn and Mayor Pro Tem Morgan would join me in repeating the oath of office.
We have to read this?
Yes, and I will, if you can just repeat after me.
Okay, all right, good.
I state your first and last name, do solemnly swear
I, Jarvis T. Woodburn, do solemnly swear
I, William Morgan, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the state of North Carolina, and all local ordinances,
the Constitution and laws of the state of North Carolina, and all local ordinances,
and the Constitution and laws of the state of North Carolina and all local ordinances,
and that I will faithfully and impartially execute
and that I will faithfully and impartially execute
and I will faithfully and impartially execute
the duties of, state your officer title, of Centralina Regional Council
the duties of Secretary of Centralina Regional Council
the duties of Treasurer of Centralina Regional Council
in accordance with its charter and bylaws,
in accordance with its charter and bylaws,
in accordance with its charter and bylaws,
to the best of my skill and ability according to law.
to the best of my skill and ability according to law.
to the best of my skill and ability according to law.
Thank you both and welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner
Congratulations.
Woodburn. Thank you, Commissioner Woodburn, Councilman Morgan. It's great. I know you couldn't join us earlier at the presentation of the swearing in. I think Jarvis Woodburn was in the Aviation Academy, I believe, which was great to attend. And Councilman Morgan was on the road doing some things for our regional council. So thank you both.
Yeah, that's correct. And it was everything you said it would be. Really.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on. Now we have comments as we wind up, comments from the executive board and the Centralina staff. Anyone on the board have any comments? Or any Centralina staff? The floor is yours. Hearing none, how about comments from our executive director, Geraldine Garner?
Thank you very much. Just a couple of quick announcements. As we've mentioned several times tonight, we are heading to the finish line of our MOVE project, and we are looking, fingers crossed, at hopefully an very early June move. And I'm also hoping, fingers crossed, that we will be in person in our new space for the June 8th executive board meeting. So more information on that to come, but that is certainly happening, and we're all very excited to not be living out of boxes anymore. The other announcement is related to our North Carolina Association of Regional Councils of Government. We as in Centralina will be hosting the NCARCOG directors meeting and the forum meeting, which is the group of elected officials that represent each of the councils of government in the group. We'll be hosting them in our region on August 4th and 5th. It's a Thursday and a Friday. The directors come into town. We do an all-day meeting on Thursday, and the forum members come in for a morning meeting on Friday the 5th. I'm interested, and maybe some of you are interested too, in potentially having a networking event where you can have the opportunity to meet some of the other elected officials from across the state potentially. So if that's interesting to you at all, if you'd like to come out for a breakfast meeting or join us for lunch, please let Kelly or I know. It's a wonderful group of people. Mayor Pro Tem Morgan represents us on that group, and it's, I think, a great opportunity for us to talk about how regional councils can move the state forward. Just another final note related to NCARCOG. We have finalized our legislative agenda, and we'll be hosting a legislative day in Raleigh in June, the first week of June. And if there is anyone that is interested in joining us, it's going to be on Tuesday, June 7th. We do a reception that evening in Raleigh for our full delegation. And we'd be delighted to have any of our executive board members who are interested in going to Raleigh with us and meeting with our delegation and talking about Centralina's agenda as well as the regional council's agenda. So get in touch with Kelly if that's of interest to you. And those are all of my announcements. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Geraldine. And now in my closing comments, I'll be brief. Just a reminder that the next meeting of the Board of Delegates will be held virtually, hopefully our last virtual meeting, on Wednesday, May 11th at 5 o'clock via Zoom. So to help us ensure strong attendance participation, please encourage the other delegates in your county to attend the meeting. And also the North Carolina League of Municipalities Conference is upcoming. I believe it's in a couple weeks. Mayor Alexander will be She's done a great job with leadership this past year. We have Councilman Clark and Eggleston and Mayor Pro Tem Martha Sue Hall. I think they're up for directors. So we wish everyone luck there in staying active. And I think some of our folks are also belong to the Association of County Commissioners. Appreciate everyone's interest in these organizations. They'll benefit us and we can benefit them. So I appreciate that. And again, hopefully, as I said, the May 11th, hopefully be our last Zoom meeting as virtual. So June 2022 will be at the new location. So I hope everything works well there. So we've reached the end of our agenda with no further business. I declare the meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Take care.